Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Let's look into the first question. Which of the following are compiled by the Labour Bureau? CPI for industrial workers, CPI for agricultural laborers, CPI for rural laborer, CPI urban non-manual employees. Which of these are compiled by the Labour Bureau? The answer to this is 1, 2 and 3 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the PIB makes a mention of consumer price index numbers for agricultural and rural laborers. What is the consumer price index? It is an index which is used to calculate the inflation which is happening at the retail level. When you consider the CPI, it can be broadly categorized into four types. One is what is called a CPI for industrial workers. Second is the CPI for agricultural laborers. Third is the CPI for rural laborer. The fourth is the CPI which includes the urban non-manual employees. When it comes to the first three, it is compiled by the Labour Bureau, but when it comes to the CPI for the urban non-manual employees, it is compiled by the Central Statistics Office, which is now the National Statistical Office. The Central Statistical Office is under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, which is why the answer to this would be 1, 2 and 3. Now if you look into the CPI for the industrial workers, we have the Labour and Employment Ministry which has revised the base year of the consumer price index for industrial workers from the year 2001 to the year 2016. So the base year for the industrial workers happened to be 2016, which reflects the changing consumption pattern, giving importance to the health, education, recreation and other miscellaneous expenses. So what is the CPI for industrial workers? Basically, this will help in determining the dearness allowance which is paid to the central and the state government employees and workers in the industrial sector. So basically, this will also help in revision of the minimum wages in scheduled employment. So the base year for the CPI for industrial workers happens to be 2016. Now as part of the assignment, you have to put on the comment section, is the base year for other CPIs, is it the same or is it different? If it is the same, please put it on the comment section. If it is different, also put it on the comment section as well. Now let's look into the next practice question. Project Bold, recently seen in news, seeks to stabilize the supply of tomato, onion and potato crops and to ensure availability of top crops throughout the country, provide assistance to the volcano and tsunami victims in Tonga, create bamboo-based green patches in arid and semi-arid land zones, reduce number of Maoist affected districts. What does Project Bold relate to? Project Bold relates to creating the bamboo-based green patches in arid and semi-arid land zones. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the PIB makes a mention of bamboo. What does Project Bold stand for? It stands for Bamboo Oasis on Lands in Drought. So Bold here stands for Bamboo Oasis on Lands in Drought, which is nothing but bold. Why did the government of India come up with such an initiative? You have many areas in Rajasthan or in the states like Gujarat where there is increasing land degradation and there is a possibility of increasing the desertification. Why? Because of the changes in the climate. As a result, you require the government to take up some initiatives. So we have the government of India under the Khadi Village Industries Commission which has taken up this initiative to create bamboo-based green patches in arid and semi-arid land zones. So basically, this is an initiative of Khadi and Village Industries Commission where it wants to prevent land degradation and desertification. Now the question is, why did Khadi and Village Industries Commission select bamboo for this project? That is because these bamboos grow really fast. It only takes about 3 years of time and this can also be harvested as soon as possible, and bamboos are also known for conserving the water, reducing the evaporation of water from the land surface, which is why it is grown in these semi-arid and arid areas. As a result, bamboo was selected for the the project board. Bamboo can also be used for agarbatti sticks. It can also be used for furniture. It can be used for musical instruments, and the paper pulp can also be extracted from the bamboo waste, which is why it is used as part of the project board. As part of the assignment, you have to put on the comment section which country is the largest producer of bamboo in the world. Please put it on the comment section. The Khadi and Village Industries Commission has taken up this project board in order to reduce land degradation and prevent desertification. As part of the assignment, you can also put on the comment section which are the other initiatives taken by the Government of India and the respective state governments to fight the menace of desertification in the country. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements. Brent crude is sourced from US oil fields. Brent crude is more ubiquitous and most oil is priced using Brent crude as the benchmark. West Texas Intermediate is slightly sweeter and lighter than Brent. Which of the above statements are correct? The answer to this is 2 and 3 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Indian Express makes a mention of Brent crude. UPSC in the past has asked questions about the Brent crude as well as the WTI. Let us try and understand what are the differences. When it comes to the Brent crude, it is extracted from oil fields in North Sea. But when it comes to the West Texas Intermediate, it is extracted from oil fields in the United States of America, which is why the first option is wrong. That is, Brent crude is not sourced from US oil fields, but instead it is from North Sea. When we look into the second statement, yes, Brent crude is more ubiquitous and most oil is priced using the Brent crude as the benchmark. This is the right statement. And the third statement is also right, where the West Texas Intermediate is slightly sweeter and lighter than the Brent. When we look into the other differences, the West Texas Intermediate is primarily extracted in Louisiana, North Dakota and Texas, and the Brent is extracted from Brent, Fortis, Osberg and Okofisk oil field. When it comes to the West Texas Intermediate, it is considered very light and very sweet. When it comes to the Brent crude, it is considered light and sweet. When it comes to the sulfur content, it is approximately 0.24%. When it comes to the Brent crude, it is produced near the sea, so the transportation costs are comparatively cheaper in comparison to the WTI. But when it comes to the WTI, it is produced in the landlocked areas, which is why transportation is comparatively more in comparison to the Brent crude. Now let's look into the next practice question. With respect to Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Livelihoods Mission, which of the following statements are correct? DAY-NRLM is a centrally sponsored scheme launched by the Ministry of Rural Development. The program is supported partially by the World Bank. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is both. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the PIB makes a mention of Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihood Mission. Yes, this is a flagship program of the Ministry of Rural Development. It was initiated back in the year 2011, and this happens to be an improved version of the earlier Swaran Jyoti Gram Swarozgar Yojana. The program, yes, is supported partially by the World Bank, and this happens to be a centrally sponsored scheme. What is a centrally sponsored scheme? Where you have some investments made both by the central government as well as the state government. Since it is a centrally sponsored scheme, you have both the central government and the state government pitching in with the investments. When it comes to the northeastern states, the ratio is equal to 90:10, where 90% will be contributed by the central government, about 10% will be contributed by the northeastern state governments. When it comes to union territories, complete investment will be made by the central government. What is the scheme all about? It aims to create effective institutional platforms to enable the rural poor to increase their household income by means of sustainable livelihood enhancement and better access to the financial services. So this is a program to mitigate the impact of poverty at the rural level, where financial incentives would be provided to the rural poor. There will be financial inclusion schemes as well, and ultimately over a period of time, poverty in the rural areas will be reduced. Additionally, the poor would also be enabled to attain improved access to rights, public services and other entailments. It harnesses the inherent capabilities of the poor, equip them with capacities as knowledge, information, tools, finance skills and collectivization for them to take part in the economy. So this happens to be a poverty mitigation program undertaken in the rural areas by the Ministry of Rural Development. Now let's look into the next practice question. With reference to the Prohibition of Benami Property Transactions Act, consider the following statements. A property transaction is not treated as a Benami transaction if the owner of the property is not aware of the transaction. Properties held Benami are liable for confiscation by the government. The Act provides for three authorities for investigation but does not provide for any appellate mechanism. Which of the statements given above is or correct? The answer to this is 2 only. This happens to be a previous year question from the year 2017. When you look into the first statement is wrong. Why? If a person does not know that there is an existence of such a law, that is not the problem of the government. So basically, a person should know that Benami transaction is wrong, and if he continues to do so without knowing the law, he can still be culpable as per the provisions of the law. When you look into the second statement, yes, it is right that if a person continues to transact with the Benami transactions, in such a case, the government has every right to confiscate such a property. So the second statement is right. The third statement says the Act provides for three authorities for investigation but does not provide for an appellate mechanism. But this Act also has an appellate jurisdiction where it has the adjudicating authority and appellate tribunal. So this statement is also wrong. So the answer to this would be 2 only. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion is Nusantara. This happens to be a new capital which Indonesia has proposed, where it is planning to shift its capital from the current Jakarta to the new capital called as Nusantara. Let us try and understand why has the government of Indonesia come up with such a proposal. We have the Indonesia's parliament which has approved a bill to relocate the country's capital from Jakarta to a new city to be built on the island of Borneo named as Nusantara. So where is the location? If you look into Jakarta, this is the present situation where the capital is located. It will now be moved to East Kalimantan, where the new capital would be called as Nusantara. So this is important from the preliminary point of view. Now the question is, why did the government of Indonesia decide to shift its capital from Jakarta to a new place called as Nusantara? That is because of multiple reasons. When you consider this particular island, that is the island of Java, it has large number of people. Java is home to about 60% of the country's population. So there are large number of people. When there are huge number of people, most of the economic activity happens in this particular place, and as a result, what could happen? There will be a lot of urban problems. The urban problems that is major to this part of Java, especially to Jakarta, happens to be pollution. So in this particular area, what we are seeing is a problem when it comes to the air quality. The air quality has deteriorated over a period of time, and multiple studies have also been conducted, and these studies also go on to say that the entire city of Jakarta may sink by the year 2050. This is because of the climate change, and this is also because of the climate change introductions. The water level in the Java Sea may rise, and what we may also witness is extreme weather events in this part of Jakarta as well as in Java. So they did realize that the city may not be present in 2050, and there is a lot of problems when it comes to Jakarta because most of the people live in this particular area. There are a lot of problems when it comes to the pollution and air quality, which is why they decided they had to shift their capital from Jakarta to a new place called as East Kalimantan, and the capital would be called as Nusantara. Now the question is, why select Kalimantan as a place in Indonesia? That is because this particular place does not have much of natural disasters. There might be natural disasters which might have occurred in Jakarta and in Java as well, but when it comes to Kalimantan, there are not much of history of natural disasters. Added to it, the government also has large swathes of land in this particular area, and it is also more central to the Indonesia's archipelago. Since it is centrally located, it also has geostrategic location, and as a result, they are moving their capital to East Kalimantan, and the new capital will be called as Nusantara. However, this particular proposal also has concerns for the environmentalists as well. Why? Because now we are moving the capital from Jakarta to Nusantara, which also means the project may end up bringing all the problems of Jakarta to the new place of Kalimantan. So we are speaking about pollution. So if there is a new capital, this particular capital may also see increased pollution, and at the same time it may also disturb the forest and biodiversity in this part of the new capital, and as a result environmentalists are also under the fear that this new region where the new capital will be built will also end up facing multiple problems in this particular region. What are the other examples that we can see world over? We have examples from Kazakhstan as well as Myanmar. Kazakhstan shifted its capital from Almaty to Astana, and Myanmar in 2005 shifted its capital from Yangon to another planned city called as Naypyidaw. So these two are the examples where countries have shifted their capitals. One, because of the strategic location. Two, because of the politics in the country, or because of reasons related to environment as well as weather related issues. So these are the two examples that we also have apart from the proposal made by Indonesia for shifting the capital from Jakarta to Nusantara. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this fact of the day. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.